How's it going? Yeah, great.
Good. And Simon's here as well, of course.
Yeah, Michael,
Hey, Simon.
good to have you on Radio 2 again. It's been a long time.
Thank you. It's good to be here with you.
So tell us about this. It's R.E.M. at the BBC, the box set. Just explain to us why this has happened, why it's come into being.
It feels like, there's a well, and there's a lot of reasons to go to it. And we started kind of looking very deep and digging a little bit and realized there was all the stuff that had been recorded over the years at BBC, and we wanted to look at it all together, listen to it, and see if it held together, and it did really a lot. So we decided to put it out.
Okay, I think we're just interested really who your favourite DJs are from the BBC. That's the purpose of this interview, because obviously, I know John Peel, he played a part. Mark and Lard played a part.
Yeah.
Dangerous territory, Joe. Dangerous territory.
Very dangerous. Yeah.
Did much of this stuff exist as bootleg? Presumably it did, Michael. So this is like we get proper recordings here now for the first time.
I think it did. But bootlegs are bootlegs. They've got a lot of heart and a lot of spirit, but often. And I'm not, I never liked Raw Power by Iggy and the Stooges that much because I thought it was not very well recorded, despite the work of all the people that made that record. Bootlegs are bootlegs. This is really good quality stuff. And the songs are sometimes when we record them for the albums, it might be a brand new song. It might be that we had not performed them live. By the time we got to the BBC, we had rehearsed these songs several times, and so what you're getting is a very different. Typically a very different live version than what went down on record.
So this covers, the box set covers so many different varied things as well. So I mentioned John Peel, so there was a John Peel studio session. Do you have memories of that when you were doing that? This was back in 1998. I
do remember, yeah, because it was not a altogether easy time for us because I think we had just become a three-piece. I think that was just after Bill had left the band, and we were kind of representing ourselves to the world and to the UK as a three-man band. I don't remember what we did though. Do you have the track list there? Was it?
Yeah, you did Day Sleeper, you did Lotus,
Day Sleeper, yeah.
And Walk Unafraid.
Lotus, a song that I always loved. I always loved the lyric. I wasn't crazy about the recording for the album. I thought it was too slow. I thought it was too long, and so. Being able to find these kind of chestnuts or these versions that we did live, for me, kind of exonerates the song a little bit, or places it in a higher place in my mind.
Michael, when the band came over in sort of late '83, do you remember what you made of the UK, but also coming into the BBC? I mean, was it different to the kind of media and the radio that you were expecting?
Well, I mean, we didn't have expectations at that point, that early in our career. People had shown their affection for us, but there wasn't a lot to back that up. It was really a very different time, pre-internet and a kind of a word of mouth around the U.S. We had no idea really how what we were doing was going to be received in London, and so. We went in eyes wide open, and we were very pleasantly surprised.
What was it like going back and listening to this stuff again, Michael, and just assessing and listening? Because you famously not really into nostalgia, but to go back and to revisit these recordings, was it a pleasurable experience? I imagine it was, because there's some great times on here.
It actually was. I mean, I do despise nostalgia, and I despise sentimentality, and of course, there are giant chunks of my soul and body that are comprised of exactly sentimentality and nostalgia. So I'm pushing against myself in saying that. But Lotus is a great example. I don't know that I said it so well just a minute ago, but that's a song that when we were on very, very, we were in a very fragile emotional state when we recorded that record, and we were not really talking to each other. Things were rough, and it was a hard record to make. It's a song that I love, but I'm not crazy about the version of it that went down on Up. That said, when we started performing it live, it became a very different song. It got a lot faster. My confidence with the melody and with the song rose, and it became a better song. So you get these. You get to hear these things that kind of, you know that you did them, they're out there somewhere. This is kind of proof to me that I wasn't imagining my own greatness in that particular moment. That we actually did, and sometimes out of fear, sometimes out of just wanting to do a great job, or sometimes out of being on something like the John Peel sessions, where you're so excited to be somewhere that's so, historic and so kind of admired and revered. You want to do your best. You want to step up. It's nice to have the proof of that in these recordings.
There's one fact I just wanted to check with you, Michael. It's on the sleeve notes, so I assume it's true. And it was in a Radio 2 documentary. And Joe has written some of the sleeve notes. Steve Lamacq has written some of the
Thank
sleeve
you for
notes.
that, by the way, Joe.
Oh, no, my absolute pleasure. Thank you for your patience.
And some of the notes are written by Mark Hagan, who's a music producer here at Radio 2. And he did a very recent documentary. And he says in that you told him that you hear in colours. And I just wanted to, I don't think I've heard you talk about that, and I just wondered if that's true, if that's still true.
That's not exactly accurate. If I heard in colors, I would be synesthetic, and I'm not synesthetic, but I'm some version of, neither am I on the spectrum of autism, but I'm somewhere in there. The way that my brain translates music is I see things. It's more landscape than color. And then as a writer, as a singer-songwriter, or arranger, my job is to then place things within that landscape that make it interesting enough that people would want to hear it, or hear it over and over and over again.
Okay, let's play a track from the box set then. So from the John Peel session, also Out My Most Beautiful was on there too, but from the session that you did for the BBC in 1991, you did World Leader Pretend. Should we play that?
That's a great song.
One. World Leader Pretend from R.E.M. at the BBC, an astonishing box set. Well, we should say there's a super deluxe edition, 8 CDs, 1 DVD box set, and there's a 2 CD, 2 LP, digital format, all kinds of stuff, but it's full of wonderful recordings. And that, I would just like to say, is track 1 on disc 1, but we have listened to almost all of it, and it's just fantastic. And my favourites, I think, Michael, because we're about to talk big Glastonbury shows, but those stripped down recordings that you guys did in the radio studios, I think that was for Nicky Campbell's late night show, I think they're the gems on this box set.
Yeah, I love that stuff too. I always thought you can tell a great song by how well it translates to orchestration, how well it translates to a disco beat, and how well it translates to a campfire. If someone can sit with a very simple, with a acoustic guitar or a simple instrument around a campfire, sing the song, and by the end of it, people are singing along, or they want to sing along, that's proof of a good song. And so these really stripped down versions are the ones that make my heart sing.
Talk about stripped back. There's one on there. You've actually 2 tracks on there from the live lounge that you did for me in 2008. You covered Editors, Munich, and Supernatural, Super Serious. And I remember, because the live lounge then was very, very basic. It was like, it's a bit of an office space. That's all it is. And I think you had to improvise and use record boxes for percussion. It was really, really... I was embarrassed at the time when you came in. I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing. This is R.E.M. They're in an office making music for us live on the radio.
I remember that session really well, and it was so much fun, and I loved covering that song. It was fantastic. Also, I have to say, I have 7 years now looking back at what R.E.M. was. Supernatural, Super Serious is one of my favorite songs we ever wrote, and that's one of my favorite lyrics. So any version of it that's out there that's half good for me is a little bit of a badge. It's a little bit of a badge on my lapel.
Let's go from one extreme, so from the real sparse stripped back campfire to the huge pyramid stage, Glastonbury Festival 1999. What are your memories of that performance?
99, I think I flew in with Hole.
You did?
I think they were on the bill. I flew in a helicopter. Courtney was like, we'll split the charges. And I'm like, okay. I had these Comme des Garçons pants that were really electric blue. And but Courtney was getting all dressed up backstage, and she looked amazing, and I was like, I got to step it up. This is like So I took some duct tape, some gaffer's tape, and I started taping the pants to me, and then I took some blue makeup and I smeared it across my face. I look like something out of like a Halloween horror movie, but I think from the back of the field, I think it probably worked on the jumbotrons, and we also knew at that point, I think it was the first time that we had done Glastonbury as a 3-piece. We had to really step it up, and it had to be amazing, and so. The stars were aligned properly to make that one of the best shows that we ever performed, I think probably in the whole of the UK.
Do you remember how you felt at the end of it? What happened? immediately afterwards?
Completely elated, completely like I felt, well, you never know until you walk off stage and people are like in tears and hugging you and going, that was absolutely astonishing. And you get that, you never know from the stage. You get a feeling, but you don't always trust that feeling. But there's a community that happens. There's an electricity and an energy that's exchanged between performer and audience, and you feel it at festivals like Glastonbury much more so than you do in smaller rooms or inside rooms. And I felt it that night, and then my feelings were qualified by people's reaction to the performance.
As a band, Mike, it was generally accepted, I think, that you left well, you finished properly, and you said that a number of times in different interviews. I wonder whether there was any point when you go back through all these reminiscences all this time about Rock City and Glastonbury and the BBC sessions, whether there's anything that you miss. You talk about it as a powerful drug, but was there any part of you that thought it would be nice just to be doing it one or two times more?
Yeah, of course. The performance is what I miss most of all, and not the adrenalized part of it, but that exchange with that many people, being able to take that energy and transform it and throw it back at people through music and through performance, might be the greatest gift that I was given, or that I was able to hone into something that actually worked. And so, to deny myself that is not an easy thing to do. But that said, R.E.M. did end at the proper time. We did so in a way that I thought was elegant and capped what we thought to be a beautiful period of time, a beautiful legacy. We didn't want it to just grind down into meaninglessness, and so we did something that was very, very difficult to do, but I'm happy that we did it.
Okay, will you ever give in to the yearning of performing? To
perform? I mean, R.E.M. will never, there's not enough money in the world. We'll never, we would never reform for any reason that I can think of, and none of us can really think of. I really feel like we did that right. Mm. The urge to perform is absolutely there, and, we'll see where that goes. At this point, I was somewhat of a one-trick pony, I think, and without Peter to my left and Mike to my right, I don't really know who I am as a performer. So that remains to be seen, I guess.
Can I just ask what you're up to between here and December? What's keeping you busy at the moment? Because I know you keep coming back to the UK, you have your photographic thing going on. What else is keeping you busy at the moment? Yeah,
I'm working on Volume 2, which is the second book of images, mostly photographic, and it's kind of detailing, for me, it's about pattern, and it's patterns and how we recognize patterns. So I'm working on that. I'm working on, I'm doing some video portraits where I ask people to dance. I strip away the very simple track that they dance to, and I compose to their movement.
Wow.
So that's, for me, a bit of a new way to approach music from a very different perspective. I'm composing for the first time, and writing to movement. So that's exciting. And I've done 4 of those now, and I'm working on a little project here in New York for that.
Wonderful. We have a record store. We'd like to know a song that you'd like to put in the record store, so a real favourite song of yours.
Chandelier by Sia.
What is it about Chandelier that you love?
The melody, and it's a beautiful, the narrative of the song is really, it's very touching, it's very sweet, and it's very powerful and difficult. It's a difficult subject to cover, and she did so in a way that makes it joyous and celebratory. At the same time, kind of looking introspective and yet joyous. So that's not an easy thing to pull off in a lyric.
Sorry, can you just explain what Chandelier is about?
Yeah, it's about someone who drinks way too much and realizes that they've got to stop. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, drink. I'm gonna swing from the chandelier. Now she's got a much higher range than I do, so we're not going to go there. But also the melody lifts and lifts and lifts and lifts, and then it goes into that space that just not many people can go to, and she does it pretty often.
I think that counts as another live Michael Stipe performance on the BBC.
Yeah. We'll add it to the box
think so. I don't see that being track 1, disc 1 of the next.
Well, do you know what? I would love to have my dinner party guest. I'd love to have you and Sia round. That would be enough, I think. Just you two. That would be a good conversation.
I met her very early on when she had her lover was a friend of mine here in New York, and we met before when she was writing songs for people, but she wasn't Sia yet. Oh my God, I'm such a massive fan of hers.
Michael, thank you very much indeed for talking to us.
Thanks for having me. It's great to speak to both of you.
Yeah, lovely to chat. Take care. Bye bye.